Good cold evening and a very warm welcome to TBH. Well, 2 trillion galaxies with each galaxy having around 100 million stars. Likewise, millions or maybe billions of planets in the observable universe thus far. So you see the universe is really big beyond our imagination. But why haven't we encountered any signs of alien civilizations? This is the question, and this puzzling question lies at the heart of the Fermi Paradox. यही आज हमारी गुफ्तगू का पेराया है. Are aliens hiding or do they simply not exist? Exploring the Fermi Paradox. बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग ये मौजू है और इसके लिए हम शुक्रगुजार हैं अल्तमुश खान आतिश के, हु स्टैंडिंग ऑन माय राइट. ये उनका आइडिया था कि इस मौजू को भी यहाँ पे डिस्कस करना चाहिए. आप जानते हैं आतिश इज़ अ फाइवर प्रो सेलर and a seasoned game designer, having served as the former lead game designer at the game Storm Studios and Absologix. Atish has worked on over 100 apps for Android, iOS and PC. इसके अलावा आपकी जो particular interest है वो है ancient philosophies में. तो आप सब लोगों की आमद का शुक्रिया. एक ही ज़हमत आपको हमेशा हम देते हैं कि अपने सेल फोन जो है वो साइलेंट मोड में स्विच कर लें, so that there is no distraction. गुफ्तगू के बाद या गुफ्तगू के दौरान जब आतिश हाउस ओपन करे फॉर Q&A, just raise your hand so that this microphone is given to you. फिर आप भी इस दिलचस्प गुफ्तगू में शामिल हो जाइएगा. So are these extraterrestrials, in case they exist, friendly or planning to take over us, जैसा कि साइंस फिक्शन या मूवीज़ में आप देखते हैं, or are we suffering from cosmic solitude? Let's hear from our speaker. Please welcome Altamush Khan Attish.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for coming. And I'd begin by asking, how many of you want to actually meet an alien? How many of you want to meet? Okay. Why? What if they're scary? What if they want to eat you? What if... According to the stories, if you take a look at an alien, and since they're so advanced, you'd probably go catatonic. And why is that? Because when we take a look at advanced civilizations, we also need to understand that they do things, they might communicate, and they might move in a way which we're not familiar. We do not move. We move in a very inefficient way. What if alien life is microscopic and we don't know about it? These are all these are questions that people don't really ask. And most of you think that that is an alien, right? That thing right there. What if an alien looks like a human being or an advanced human being? We don't know. What if there are aliens right now among us and we don't know about them because they look like us, but they have consciousness coming from some other realm, some other dimension. We do not know about that. The Fermi's paradox is basically the idea that if there are many exoplanets, Earth-like planets, and there is a possibility that there's life out there, why haven't we discovered it yet? And throughout the years, people have presented various solutions that why can't we see aliens? By now, we should have discovered some alien life, but we haven't. So today, we are going to take a look at a few possible reasons why we cannot see aliens or why they probably don't exist. And we are going to take a look at this, but I'll need the slides for that, so if possible. Yes? You want to ask a question?
So, what I think is that there might be on some planets or moons of some planets, there might be some microscopic life, like some microbes, like under Enceladus, or its underground reserves. Thank you for listening.
Say again?
There might be some tiny...
No. What's the last thing you said?
Yeah. Thank you for listening,
Thank you for
okay?
listening. Okay, right. Sorry, the mic was actually a little bit too compressed.
I have three current possibilities why we can't see alien life. Number one, it's either that aliens went extinct. Number two, it's either that aliens are too small for us to see. Number three, it's that all aliens are, went to different planets or they're camouflage. Yeah. The third one is either aliens are extinct or aliens are too small for us to see or they're too camouflaged.
Yeah, that might be the case actually in the Fermi's paradox. This is one of the possible solutions. So the purpose of today's talk is to take, first of all, we're going to take a look at the Earth-like planets, or I'm just going to speak about them. So before we took a look out, we thought that Earth is special and there's no other planet like ours. This is wrong. We have discovered that there are Earth-like planets. It's just that we haven't discovered life on them, but they are very Earth-like. And what's the possibility of life on other planets? And also the possible solutions for the Fermi's paradox. Again, the Fermi's paradox just asks the question, where are all the aliens? If there are aliens, why can't we see them? So please, next slide, please. Next slide. Oh, okay. Why search for aliens? So first of all, why are we interested in aliens? Most people would say they have a lot of answers. They want to ask a lot of questions. And aliens most likely will have the answer, like, where did life come from? Where is the universe? How was the universe created? Where are we headed? What is the purpose of the universe? You might also want to learn about their technology. It's also sensational. For some reason, everybody goes crazy about aliens, but when you talk about something practical, they don't listen. It's also a good story talking about aliens, and of course, most people are actually looking for the true creation story. For some reasons, in science fiction movies, most aliens know what the creation story is, like how we were created, how the universe was created, and why are we here. And most of us want to actually know, because scientists, when they observe the universe, they kind of find out how pointless it is. Like, the universe is absolutely pointless. So we need answers. And since we are not technologically advanced enough, we will probably not find this answer ourselves. We need help from someone. Next slide. Well, we thought that the Earth is unique, but we have found planets that are Earth-like, and you'll find many videos on that on YouTube on those planets. They're Earth-like. They're not necessarily a duplicate of Earth. They're Earth-like, which means that they have the characteristics and the chemical composition of Earth. But they might have more gravity. They might be bigger. They might be warmer. They might be colder. So we have around 5,000 exoplanets, exoplanets are kind of like they have the same size of the Earth, and they have similar gravity. And we have that in our stellar neighborhood. So in our stellar neighborhood, we have around 5,000 exoplanets. So stellar neighborhood is basically the area around a star that includes all the known star systems within a certain radius. You will find the definition for this online, but know about the stellar neighborhood. And we also know that a third of the 5,000 exoplanets that exist within our stellar neighborhood are actually Earth-like. And it is very illogical to think that there isn't any life other than life on Earth. There might be, but we haven't discovered it. And since they're pretty far away, those Earth-like planets, it is very difficult to send a probe there and make it come back. It's very difficult, but this is basically one of the reasons why we can't really explore those planets. We can only observe them from a distance. Next slide. Next slide, please. Next one. Okay. So most of the life forms on Earth consist of carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, and nitrogen. That is the base of all life on Earth. And so life itself is the building blocks of life are actually, well, we find carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen in the universe. So it is not illogical to think that there must be life out there, because that's almost all life forms have these. So it is unlikely that life doesn't exist on other planets. And these elements are usually released into space after the death of a star. So carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, and nitrogen are usually released into space by the star that dies. And there's a chance that these elements are going to land on a planet. And if the time is right, if the events are correct, life will be present on that planet. Next slide. So the first hypothesis is the Great Filter. So the Great Filter is basically that advanced life was developing, or life was developing on a planet, but for some reason, some event stopped its development. So on Earth, we say it's special because the events and the distance of the moon, the distance of the sun and everything, all of the conditions were perfect, and therefore life is on Earth. It is quite possible that life was forming on other planets, but it failed. There was a point where everything went wrong. This is one of the possible solutions for the Fermi's paradox, that we cannot see aliens because aliens were in the process of being aliens, but they got extinguished. So therefore, we don't have aliens because they never got to the point where we could discover them. They died before that. And this part of the slide is actually cut, but what over here, you can see that human beings, according to scientists, have basically existed for 2.5 million years, but we have technologically advanced over the last 100 years. So it is possible that the alien life that was forming is not even 1% as technologically advanced as we are, and it's probably in its early stages. And that is one of the reasons why we haven't discovered aliens yet. As if we are sending signals into the universe, into space, probably they're not sending signals because they don't have the technology to send signals, or they don't have the technology to receive signals. Next slide. Okay, so the dark forest hypothesis, which is basically that aliens want to stay hidden. Now, there are reasons why aliens would want to stay hidden, or they're basically hidden because they are very technologically advanced. There's something called Dyson sphere, and if you do not know about that, basically if civilization, if it reaches a certain stage, they can cover up their star, and they can absorb energy from the star. So since they're absorbing energy from the star, that star basically becomes invisible. And since it is invisible, you will not be able to see that entire star system. Basically, that is how a alien civilization can hide itself. However, the dark forest hypothesis basically is that the civilizations do not want to be found, as they have technology which can help them conquer other alien races. So they don't want anybody to contact them because they fear that if they get contacted by somebody else, it might result in them being extinguished or annihilated. So they're keeping themselves deliberately hidden or camouflaged, like you said it. They're basically keeping themselves camouflaged. This is the dark forest hypothesis. Now, these are the alien races that if they exist, they're so advanced that they fear other alien races, or they may have come across alien races that wanted to destroy them, and now they've learned their lesson. They're like, we do not want to contact any other alien race. Probably we at one time, if we come in contact with an alien race after we are quite advanced, we might decide never to contact any alien race, and we might try to hide the Earth, because if our experience is bad, it means that is a lesson for us, and we should not try to contact any other alien race. Next slide. So the Berserker hypothesis. Now, this is very science fiction. So this basically is about Newman ships or probes, and there's really no evidence for it, but it is a hypothesis that there might be an alien race that created probes or ships which could replicate. And these were like drones. Everything that they did was automatic. They would go to other planets to use the planet's resources to make clones of themselves or copies of themselves. And these ships were basically designed to replicate and kind of conquer the universe by replicating and using the resources from other planets. So these ships mine other planets for resources to create copies and are most likely pre-programmed. Now, many people who actually take a look at the Berserker hypothesis state that most likely the alien races that created such ships themselves have gone extinct. But since these ships are pre-programmed, they're still continuing their job. And these kind of ships are actually seen in a video game called Mass Effect, where the alien races were basically the most advanced civilization, which was the Leviathan civilization in that game. They created a machine which was supposed to keep the universe in check. Now that, and by the universe in check is that they wanted to create a machine which would actually figure out what is the reason why basically the civilizations destroy themselves, because many civilizations before them were destroyed. So it was basically the solution that machine came up with is that before these civilizations get too advanced, destroy them and let life begin again. So it was continuing that process, and that is basically the core of the Mass Effect games, that you had to defeat those machines which are trying to destroy you, because that civilization at that time got so advanced that they were now a threat to themselves. And for some reason, it was actually bad programming that those machines thought about destroying that civilization before it ended up destroying the planet, which could sustain life. That was basically the entire core logic of it. So it is a mechanical form of life because they're pretty advanced, those machines, according to the hypothesis. And there was a competition between different species, and that's the reason why those machines are gone. Basically, they had a competition between each other, and they ended up destroying each other. And of course, these machines, since they can replicate, there's also a chance that they can mutate and actually become sentient. That is the entire hypothesis, that these machines can at one time become sentient, and they probably fought each other, and that's the reason why they're basically no longer exist. What's your question?
It's not exactly a question. There is a chance that an alien.
Mike, in the mic.
There's a chance that another alien civilization could be doing the same thing, like instead of that corner having a green man on it, it could have an person that looks like a human on it. Yeah, it could be like another alien civilization is talking about aliens. And also another fact, if we meet another alien civilization, they will probably call us aliens.
Yeah, we'll be aliens if we go to... Basically, we will not really be aliens for them because we're still on our planet. I mean, yes, we are aliens, but yeah, we are aliens, but we are never going to be aliens in our own planet. But you're correct. Like we'll be a form of life, but until we go to their planet, we are not aliens. Right? We're just like another form of life. That's the thing. Next slide. So the rare Earth hypothesis. This is the concept that the Earth is very special. And the reason why we have life over here is because certain events had to take place in the correct order at the correct time, and that's how life was formed. This is very similar to what I spoke about before, that conditions for complex life are simply not met on other planets, and that's the reason why complex life and advanced life cannot be formed, because there are certain events that have to be performed in a certain order and at a certain time for complex life to be there. So the Earth might be an outlier according to this hypothesis, in the sense that the Copernican principle does not apply on the Earth, which is basically the Earth is kind of like a oddball, and the other planets are basically do not represent what the Earth is, because the Earth was special that it had to be at a certain place at a certain time and have the correct composition for life, and no other planet in the universe has it. And that is basically the rare Earth hypothesis. And it is also possible that microbial life is present on other planets, but it is very difficult to discover microbes on other planets until we are technologically advanced enough to actually send something over there which can retrieve a sample from those planets. Next slide, please. So Extraterrestrial Zoo. Now, this is the hypothesis that I basically believe in, is that we are being observed. It is kind of like it is in line with the religious texts as well, that this place is basically a simulation and we are being observed, and that the life that is over here, the aliens or whoever created us is kind of observing us to see what will happen to us and as life progresses and as we get more advanced, we are being observed. And this is basically the extraterrestrial zoo hypothesis. And the reason why we don't see aliens is because the aliens are under an isolation policy, which is very similar to this tribe, which I can't even pronounce. This tribe is basically in the Indian Ocean, and India has an isolation policy. They are not touched, this tribe. It's in the Indian Ocean, and it's kind of like that for the aliens for us. That probably if those aliens come into contact with us, it's not going to be good for us. They might have certain diseases. They might be immune to certain things that we are not immune to. They might have certain technologies. In fact, one of the earliest abduction stories that you'll find on the Joe Rogan podcast was about a person that got abducted by aliens because the aliens ended up injuring him when the UFO or whatever flying saucer lifted. That person was too close to the flying saucer and therefore got injured, and the aliens abducted him to basically help him heal. That was, I don't remember the name of that person who says that he was abducted, but that was the entire reason for him being abducted, because the aliens were like, we've injured this person, now let's help him. That was basically the reason. So probably the aliens do not come into contact with us is because we will not be able to handle their presence. And most abduction stories or most encounters with aliens, people say that they are left in a catatonic state. It's probably because they're telepathic. So that's the reason why they probably do not contact us, because they want to keep us safe. So next slide, please. So the alien police scenario. This basically says that aliens will never come into contact with us unless we do something horribly wrong. Like if we basically try to destroy ourselves, that is the time when aliens are going to come and intervene, not before that. They'll be like, and this actually is the story of The Day the Earth Stood Still, which is basically a movie that Keanu Reeves starred in, that where Keanu Reeves was sent to the Earth to basically destroy the human beings because they were getting technologically advanced and they were emitting carbon into the atmosphere, and they would end up destroying the Earth. And according to that movie, the Earth was special. It was one of the only planets in the universe that could sustain life. Keanu Reeves in that movie was sent by a alien government to wipe out the human beings if the leaders of humanity would not agree to stop advancing technologically. That was basically the entire movie. And it's a very good movie. This is basically based on the alien police scenario, where aliens only intervened when they thought that the Earth is going to be destroyed. And Earth is without a doubt one of the only planets in the known universe that can sustain life properly. This is the alien police. This is the alien police scenario. Next slide. So the zombie apocalypse universe is basically the hypothesis that aliens, all of the advanced alien races, have been conquered by another advanced alien races have been conquered by another advanced alien race and are basically turned into zombies. In other words, they are being controlled by a hive mind, some kind of a virus or something that allows them to control them, and they haven't reached Earth yet. And the reason why we haven't discovered alien life is because since they are zombies, they're not really looking at anything else other than what the other advanced alien race has asked them to do. So this is the zombie apocalypse universe, which is basically the advanced civilizations have become vessels of another advanced civilization, and unless they really want these aliens to be discovered, they're going to stay hidden, and they're just doing their job, whatever they want to do, and they're not really interested in us yet. So they're simply not interested in discovering other life because they're getting their job done. Like why would they basically need any other life form when they already have a workforce and they're getting everything done from that workforce? Next slide. So this is the last hypothesis, that the other aliens were simply eaten. Like that is also a hypothesis. And this is basically in the video game Dead Space, there were these brethren moons, which were these big giant moon-like aliens, which would go around eating up what civilization they could find. The problem was that at one time they ran out of civilizations, so they starved to death in the middle. So they were first eating every civilization they came across, but then somewhere along their search for other civilizations, they starved to death. So that is another hypothesis, that basically they went extinct over time, and they basically ate the other civilizations that were not technologically advanced. But as they were moving in search for other food, they just died somewhere in the middle. And that's the reason why they don't exist. Or they could also be hibernating, which is another thing too. Since they're hibernating, if they are an advanced civilization, they're probably roaming around in invisible probes looking for new life to consume. But since they're advanced, during their hibernation period, they probably do not want to be discovered because they're vulnerable at that time. So that is another hypothesis. So these are the possible solutions that people. These are the answers that basically kind of solve the Fermi's paradox. Of course, probably we will not be able to ever solve the Fermi's paradox, but these are some of the solutions that are very popular on the internet right now and among scientists. That why haven't we discovered aliens if there are any aliens in the world in the universe right now? Thank you. Question and answers. This is the Q&A section if you want.
Want to ask any question?
There are chances that aliens might not only be among humans, but chances are they might also be among animals, insects, birds. Yeah, like there is a chance that your pet dog is an alien spy sent by an alien government to spy on you.
Yes, there is a chance.
Sorry for the creepy one.
That could happen. That's true. And insects are a pretty scary thing. So I mean, they're not very intelligent. So I mean, we're talking about intelligent aliens. I mean, there could be aliens that are insect-like on other planets. What?
Like the ones that are sent by alien governments to spy on you.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, some people believe that the moon is an observatory. Some people believe that as well. Any other questions?
So I think basically that most of these scenarios were quite implausible, like the zombie apocalypse scenario and aliens ate each other scenario. But the thing I find most plausible is a combination of these. For example, the great filter. First of all, the rarity of the rare earth hypothesis. Rare earth hypothesis plus the great filter and plus the shortness of advanced civilization. So I think a combination, when I think about the Fermi paradox, I think a combination of these three makes the most sense. So first of all, that the conditions needed to evolve intelligent life are extremely rare. Must happen in very few planets overall. Earth is one of them. And secondly, if civilization gets advanced enough, it will most likely wipe itself out due to its own technology, its own follies. And thirdly, that even if there is an extraterrestrial civilization out there and it got advanced enough for a few hundred years and it emitted signals, it's very likely that when those signals were passing through the earth, we weren't in our current state. For example, they passed through the earth 1,000 years ago or 1,000,000 years ago when dinosaurs were roaming around, and those signals just flew by us, never to be found again. Or maybe much after we go extinct, those signals fly by earth. So the vastness of the space-time continuum and the great filter hypothesis and the rarity of evolving intelligent life, I think if you combine these three, then it seems very likely that you can understand why Fermi's paradox, why we don't see aliens, because the universe is extremely big. So what do you think about that? What would your favorite explanation be of this paradox?
I think the great filter is probably the great filter, and also the police scenario. The police scenario is probably the two that I really think. The police scenario is because we have seen even in stories about the Tower of Babel. And Graham Hancock believes that there was an advanced civilization on Earth, very advanced, and he sometimes questions how the pyramids, how basically in the king's chamber, how did they get those stones which weighed so much into the king's chamber. He wasn't very concerned about the pyramid itself. He said it's not easy to explain how did they get those stones 350 feet above the ground inside of the king's chambers, which is quite remarkable. He believes that there was an advanced civilization that was actually before the Ice Age. He believes there was one. Similarly, we have to see the stories of the Tower of Babel. At the time, they were thinking about building a tower, which might be a story, but it's quite a fascinating story, that they were trying to build a tower which would reach the heavens. That is basically the story. And some force stopped it from happening. So I believe that most likely it is that if there is a governing body, they stop certain civilizations from advancing to a certain point where they would start interfering with other alien race matters. That's what I believe. And that actually explains one thing too, is that if we are to discover aliens, and let's suppose they're from a government organization, then game over. Like all of the differences and the entire, if a person is religious, then the entire thing about God and Satan, that basically, it goes, because you know exactly who Satan is and who God is. So all the simulation where there's deception, there's an entire conflict between human beings, that will probably be, it'll get more complicated. Let's just put it that way. So I think the aliens are basically being told, first of all, not to contact these people because they're under observation. There's a thing going on, and don't contact them. And we are ourselves not allowed to advance to a certain level where we could actually see them or we could actually talk to them, because that would probably disturb the religious side of things if there is that entire thing going on between God and Satan. So that's the thing.
I don't think that's very plausible, because if there is a cosmic police force keeping every civilization under check, then there should have been some signs of this civilization's presence. For example, if they destroyed a planet or something, so there must have been some signs of like a technological debris or something around us at least, but we see no such signs. And Graham Hancock is not really a credible archaeologist, and most archaeologists consider him a sort of a pariah with his own crazy theories about everything. And as far as I've read about the construction of the pyramids, they use ramps first of all, and they also used a kind of lubricant to drag the stones up. So if you use a low enough slope and a good enough lubricant, then it is quite easy to, and they have done experiments on this as well, that using the resources of the time, would you have been able to shift these like 100-pound, 500-pound stones 50 feet high? And it's very possible, very much possible according to the knowledge and experience of the day.
Yeah, that's true. The King's Chamber ramps, Graham Hancock did say that you can build a ramp. It would just be a very, very long ramp to get those rocks into the King's Chamber. That's all he said. He said it could be, but then it would be a seriously long ramp, like very long to get that over there. And another thing too is that the policing, there are TED Talks on this, that they probably saw signs of a war going on in a galaxy. There's a TED Talk on that. There is a woman who was talking about receiving certain. I don't know what the scientist was using, but I think they were basically taking a look at certain energy signals, probably light signals, and it appeared.
I don't think that's possible because our telescopes are not powerful enough currently to zoom in so much into a planet.
They didn't zoom in.
So how did they figure out?
I think they used some kind of meter. I don't remember exactly what that was. But about that thing, the policing thing, right? You are correct. Most likely we would see evidence for that. I'm saying that according to some of the science fiction stories that we read, right? There is a chance that probably, since we do not know why we aren't seeing aliens, there is a possibility that I believe that probably civilizations are simply not allowed to be advanced enough where they can interfere with each other. And if that civilization is, let's suppose, level 5, level 6, which we can't even comprehend, they are probably existing in a realm where we cannot even see them. So probably in order for the system of things to continue, they're not allowed to interfere with each other's business.
If there is a civilization so advanced that it can control these tiny civilizations, then why would it consider them such a threat that it would try to stop them in their tracks?
Probably just...
because, for example, if they have so much power over us, then we are like ants to them, right?
Yeah.
And ants don't pose that much of a threat to us. We can just let them do their business. And if they are in our way, then we eliminate them.
I mean,
so it's kind of a far-fetched, kind of a science fiction-y type idea, not really...
These are just like hypotheses. The people, like you said, grand filter. I like the grand filter. I think the Existential Zoo is probably the one that I like the most because...
Also that simulation.
Yeah, simulation, because I believe we're living in a simulation. That's what I believe. So because I'm a programmer, right, and I know how simulations work. So probably the reason why we do not see aliens is, first of all, if somebody is a programmer and this is simulation, then why would they make themselves known and just ruin everything? They're having fun, and probably this is all a fun for them, like this fun. So I actually am more of an existential zoo kind of a guy, and I believe this is simulation. That's the thing.
I don't really believe in simulation. Does anyone else have a question?
A little bit less technical and less heavy question. In all alien films and whatever we can conceive as human species, we have never bothered to show them more beautiful than us. Why?
I think it's because I think the earliest depictions of aliens were probably they were not human. Like if you take a look at even the Egyptians, the Egyptian depictions of, well, it was their gods or the Anunnaki or everything who came from the sky. That's what they believed in. Aliens have always looked non-human, so they can basically be differentiated. They can basically be odd. And if we try to make a human, by the way, the video game depictions of aliens, some of them are actually human-like. They just kind of have makeup on or have face paint on. They're just like that. But the aliens have always been non-human, and they've always looked different. And most of the people that have come up with alien races in stories, they usually take a look at how an advanced civilization would look like if they were using a lot of computer, then their eyes would be super big so they can basically work on computer for hours. So based on that, they're basically made these alien
I'm
depictions.
just talking about aesthetic
Yeah.
point of view.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
We are unable, humans maybe, it is my hypothesis, we are unable to think
Yeah.
more beautiful than us anything in the universe.
yeah, true.
Is it true?
True. Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's true.
Beauty must be having different. I mean, they may be having their own aesthetics.
Yeah, probably they have the aesthetics that the eyes should be very big, right? The bigger the eyes, the more beautiful.
The Chinese, nobody in China is good looking, or nobody.
No.
Aesthetics even varying this, all this art is very hard. What to talk about this universe? I mean, there could be different aesthetics. There may be this.
Yep.
This kind of alien, this kind of a face, maybe a beautiful face in its own planet.
Yeah, or probably an alien looks like a praying mantis, and their thing about the aesthetics is that if you have a longer crawl, you're more beautiful.
Okay. Well, the thing is that you're like you said that, and also this when they say they had the big head, and because like they were doing they are so advanced that they are doing a lot of brain work.
Yeah.
And not physical work, so their limbs are weak.
And eyes are big, so because they're
Eyes.
light, because they have to work on computers, so they have got big eyes.
These images are created on certain hypothesis that they're advanced in, like if we see the human beings have the largest brain among all the animal kingdom. I mean, because we are most intelligent and we have bigger brain.
Yeah.
So just since aliens are more advanced, when we show aliens whatever we depict them as, since they are more advanced, they have even larger brains, like maybe 5 times larger than ours. So this is how they have made these images. But you can't say they are bad looking or. Because our aesthetics, our standards, they don't go by that. I mean, they may be having their own aesthetics, their own, or maybe looks don't matter to them anymore. It's they may be having a different criterion to be popular.
Yeah.
I mean, sorry, it wasn't a question. It was just a kind of I took part in the discussion.
Right. Thank you.
Okay, it is another opinion. I appreciate that. The actual question was that human race, not about Chinese or Turkish or Japanese. It was that human race, whatever we line, we threshold the beauty within our senses, within our everybody who is writing stories, who is creating films, who is like you creating simulations, within our frame of reference, we are not giving the allowance to anybody else in the universe that it looks, according to our standards, more beautiful, not their standards. Their standards may be only.
Yeah, I mean, we cannot basically.
And joined to that, maybe that is easier part, we have shown them most of the time hostile to us. Collectively. Why? I don't understand why. We have never been in touch, we have never talked, no negotiation, we don't know even. But we, as a whole, people who have thought about it, they have shown them, for our coming generations, they're very hostile.
Yeah.
Why this collective consciousness is predicting that whatever is more civilized, more advanced to us, they will be like a hostile to us?
Well, it's that there are various stories. Like if you even take a look at the Anunnaki, right? The Anunnaki, they didn't eat us exactly, and they did what they did is they basically wanted to use us to mine gold. They were not interested in the advancement of the human. They were not interested in creating human beings because, according to the Anunnaki, human beings were created by the Anunnaki, according to their story. So human beings were created to work. So the reason why they do this is because I believe that even if you take a look at all of the advanced stories and these stories of advanced civilizations, they don't have emotions. They're working literally on like not pragmatism. Pragmatism is something else. I was about to say they're pragmatic. That's not actually the case. They don't have emotions. They only they work mechanically and they work to advance themselves and what benefits them. They don't really care about the other civilizations. It's because probably they've been through wars or they've been through stages where they don't really care. So they're very like self-centered. They think that only we are the ones that are supposed to advance, and that's it.
Okay. One theory about these aliens or extraterrestrial beings is that they are just a pop culture depiction of one of the creations that is mentioned in our religious text, which we call the jinns.
Okay.
It is quite popular belief in people.
Okay.
So, what do you think about that?
I don't know about it. Yeah. No, they're interdimensional creatures.
But there's also a theory that before human beings, jinns used to live on Earth, but then they were expelled from Earth.
Yeah.
So
that is actually, if you take a look at Genesis, there it appears to be a Earth which was ruined. It even talks about that, which was an Earth in ruins.
Just want to, I think, respond to the gentleman's question back there. Probably, we're othering them. They don't even exist in our, reality. And we've, started othering them. So they're uglier and they are the enemy. So probably that's the psyche behind, making them ugly and hostile.
Aliens are so smart that they live for like 1,000 years or even 1,000,000.
Say again?
Aliens are so smart that they live for like 1,000 years.
I cannot answer that because I do not know whether aliens exist or not. But I do know that I read an article somewhere that there's a particular gene in us that causes aging. I'm not sure about that since I haven't really delved into it. But I won't be surprised if at one time I know that at one time, if you're given enough time, we will be inventing nanobots, which will be able to basically make us live forever, basically.
Who knows? Maybe I'm not the only me who exists in the universe. Perhaps there's an exact copy of the Milky Way galaxy with an exact copy of the solar system, with an exact copy of Earth, with an exact copy of me, with an exact copy of everyone. Who knows?
Yeah, could be.
Well, aliens are depicted as hostile kind of creatures. Could be xenophobia kind of thing in human beings, like we are territorial. Even we like even if you see in even in our country, if you go to another land, like maybe another province, and where you speak different language, and the locals there, they speak different language, there is a prejudice against you, and they don't accept you, and they think that anybody who has come from outside, who's not native, is bound to be a bad person, bound to be that person has come to take your resources, your the opportunities, and all these things. So probably this is the underlying thought that's working behind painting aliens as hostiles and ugly and dangerous.
Yeah.
So it could be a sort of a xenophobia in a different way, you know, because we are territorial. I mean, even animals are territorials. I mean, if an animal lives in a certain place, it doesn't like other animal to come there. I mean, if you see dogs, if they they don't like cats to trespass, or the dogs from other places to trespass. So I mean, I think it's a kind of a territorial kind of a mentality.
Yeah, that's I agree.
अच्छा इस पे एक और भी मज़े की एक्सप्लेनेशन है जो कि मुझे ज़्यादा प्लॉजिबल लगती है. इनकी भी बात ठीक है, अदरिंग वगैरह का भी चक्कर है इसके अंदर, लेकिन ना इसमें ये भी देखा गया है कि ना एलियन एबडक्शंस की जहाँ जहाँ से भी स्टोरीज़ आती हैं ना, जो असल में ना ये जो तस्वीर है, all those people who report being abducted by aliens, they report this kind of a creature staring at them, this kind of a face. तो ये सिर्फ और सिर्फ वो नहीं है साइकोलॉजिकल और वो xenophobic टाइप नहीं है, बल्कि जो लोग क्लेम करते हैं कि हमारी abduction हो चुकी है from aliens, they say that aliens actually look like that. और उसकी फिर क्या वजह हो सकती है कि why does everyone see aliens like that? तो उसमें फिर ना मज़े की एक थ्योरी आइडिया ये है कि ना असल में जब लोगों की ना, और ये जब एलियन अबडक्शन होती है तो अमूमन लोग कहते हैं कि ना द एलियंस जो थे ना उन्होंने हमें एक टेबल पे लिटा दिया तो हमारे पर ऑपरेशन कर रहे थे. तो जब ना लोगों का फॉर एग्जांपल एंडोस्कोपी होती है या फिर कोई भी ऑपरेशन होता है, उनको ना एनेस्थीसिया दिया जाता है जिसमें थोड़े से ना डिजी हो जाते हैं, वो आंखें आपकी हल्की फुल्की खुली होती हैं और आपको हेजी हेजी सा नज़र आ रहा होता है. साथ आपके ना डॉक्टर होता है जो कि आपके ऊपर ऑपरेट कर रहा होता है, और उसने मास्क पहना होता है, गॉगल्स पहनी होती हैं, उसकी आंखें बड़ी बड़ी लग रही होती हैं, उसकी सर बड़ा लग रहा होता है, उसका मुँह छुपा होता है उसका, इसलिए नाक उनकी स्लिट्स की तरह है क्योंकि नाक नज़र ही नहीं आ रही होती. तो उस स्टेट के अंदर ना लोगों के मेमोरी के अंदर चला जाता है कि परहैप्स आई वॉज एबडक्टेड बाय एन एलियन. उनको भूल ही जाता है कि मेरा ऑपरेशन हुआ था. फॉल्स मेमोरीज भी बन जाती है ना, ये भी एक प्रूवन फैक्ट है कि लोग बहुत सारी फॉल्स मेमोरीज भी बना लेते हैं रिकॉल करके या किसी इवेंट को रॉन्गफुली रिकॉल करके. तो ये उसकी एक ना मटीरियलिस्टिक एक्सप्लेनेशन हो सकती है कि पीपल कम आउट ऑफ अ डेज आफ्टर medical operation and then after a while they associate that with being abducted or something, और इसलिए उनकी इस तरह की बड़ी बड़ी शक्लें, बड़ी बड़ी आंखों के साथ और नॉन एग्जिस्टेंट नाक, ये और सब लोग ये रिपोर्ट करते हैं.
People also think that the people who have got near death experiences think that they went to heaven because they go through a tunnel up there. Yeah, but that's actually due to the brain working in a particular way after a person is dead basically. The neurons fire in a way which makes it seem like you're going through a tunnel. So that, yeah, you're correct, it could be.
फिर वो इसीलिए that's why they say that the aliens healed me and I was injured and I was healed by the aliens. तो वो गलत मेमोरी उसकी बना लेते हैं. असल में उनका ऑपरेशन शायद हुआ हो, शायद उनका कोई एक्सीडेंट हो गया हो.
It's kind of like when you wake up at night and there's this their clothes hanging, you think that they're dancing for a while because you're not. Yeah, it could be.
Aliens probably know all languages. Like if they were in France, they speak French. If they're in Pakistan, they speak Urdu.
Right. I think that if you take a look at the better depictions of aliens, they're telepathic. They communicate via telepathy. Because speaking is actually not efficient. Like this, our way of communicating is not very efficient.
Who knows who could have met aliens? Who knows, maybe your grandpa met an alien before you were born. Or perhaps even I could be an alien spy. Who knows?
Yeah, you wouldn't even know.
नॉट अ क्वेश्चन बट 2 रिमार्क्स जो जहन में गूंज रहे थे, मैंने कहा मैं आप दोस्तों के सामने रखूं. जो ज़मीन पर हमारी अंडरस्टैंडिंग है वो لمحہ موجود میں جو ہے ظاہر ہے وہ سائنٹیفک بیسس پر ہے، جس میں میٹر، انرجی، سیلز، جو فزیکل لاز اور پرنسپلز ہم نے ڈسکور کی ہیں، مور اوور جو ہماری یہ ظاہری سینسز ہیں، حواس خمسہ، اور ان کو اسسٹ کرنے کے لیے جو ہم سائنٹیفک گیجٹس یا ٹولس یوز کرتے ہیں، دس از ہاؤ وی آبزرو اینڈ انٹرپریٹ تھنگس. کبھی کبھار میرے ذہن میں خیال آتا ہے کہ اگر کسی اور دنیا میں یا کائنات کے کسی گوشے میں یہی جو رولز آف گیم آپ کہہ لیں وہ مختلف ہوں، یعنی وہاں پہ اگر کوئی مان لیں کہ کوئی زندگی پائی جاتی ہے اور اس کے یہ حواس نہیں ہے، اس کے کوئی مختلف حواس ہیں، اور جس طرح ہم 5 کے بعد 6 7 8 حواس دیگر حواس کے بارے میں نہیں جان سکتے کیونکہ ہے ہی نہیں ہمارے، ہو سکتا ہے وہ کسی اور جگہ پر ہوں، ہو سکتا ہے کہ جن پرنسپل سے ہم کائنات کو سمجھ رہے ہیں وہ کسی اور پرنسپل سے سمجھتے ہوں، تو شاید ہم ایک دوسرے کے روبرو بھی آ جائیں تو ہم دونوں ایک دوسرے کو جان ہی نہ پائیں پروبیبلی، بیکاز کائنات کے اتنے اسرار ہیں، اتنے تحیر ہیں، تو شاید یہ بھی ایک اسی کی ریفلیکشن ہو. بٹ ایٹ دا کلوزنگ میں حوالہ دینا چاہوں گا کارل سگان کی وہ جو مشہور زمانہ ہے پیل بلیو ڈاٹ، تو اس میں وہ کچھ اس طرح کی بات کہتے ہیں کہ یہ جو کچھ ہے وہ اسی نقطے میں ہے، جو آبزرویبل یونیورس ہم نے دیکھی ہے، اس میں اچھے کردار، برے کردار، ہمارے اخلاقیات، جنگ و جدل، سب کچھ جو ہے وہ اسی نقطے میں ہے. اینڈ دیر از سچ اے ڈائیورسٹی ہیئر. میں یہ سوچتا ہوں کبھی کبھار کہ اگر ہم اس ڈائیورسٹی کو ہی ایکسیپٹ نہیں کرتے تو ہم نے باہر کی کسی ڈائیورسٹی کو کیا ایکسیپٹ کرنا ہے. دا مومنٹ ہم ایک دوسرے کو اسپیس دینا شروع کریں گے، دا مومنٹ وی اسٹارٹ امبریسنگ ادرس ریگارڈلیس آف ہاؤ مچ ان کے ویوز، ان کے نظریات ہمارے سے متصادم ہیں، لیکن ہم ان کو مانیں گے کہ کائنات کا، دنیا کا حسن جو ہے ان کے ہونے سے بھی ویسا ہی ہے جیسا میرے ہونے سے ہے. تو شاید ہمارے سامنے وہ دروازے کھل جائیں جو ہم باہر کی کسی دوسری مخلوق سے بھی رابطہ کر سکیں. ابھی تو ہم ایک دوسرے کی گردنیں کاٹنے میں لگے ہیں، تو بہتر ہے کہ وہ دور ہی رہے ہم سے، ابھی ہم ان کو نہ پہچان سکیں، اینڈ ہوپنگ کہ وہ بھی پرامن لوگ ہی ہوں ان لائک ہیومنس. تھینک یو آتش، بہت اچھی ٹاک تھی، بڑا لطف.